Hi everyone, in this video we're going to be looking at how to set up disaster recovery between two Windows web servers. Setup here is pretty simple. We've got two Windows servers running IIS, they're 2008 R2, and we've got one server that's going to be used as the console server, which is going to have the Arcserve control service running on it to give you the UI and the capability to control everybody. Having said that, we're going to jump right in. Actually, the first thing I've already done is on the RHA console server, I've already downloaded the RHA 16.5 software. So I'm just going to go ahead and get that set up at this point. Two pieces to install here. The first component is going to be the RHA console software. This is going to provide you with the administrative UI that gives you control over the backup software and the replication software, running reports, basically giving you the day-to-day controls that you need to make sure the system is running appropriately. I'm just entering some basic information, installing it on the C drive. I'm gonna pick my local service account, and I'm gonna skip SSL for now, but you are totally able to do that. Also, the last thing you saw me skip was the ability to set it up in a redundant scenario, so you could have had two console servers. So if one goes down, the other one is available. For our purposes, we're just going to set up one and continue forward. So we're just going to allow this to, at this point, just come to a conclusion. And that's it. And then now we're going to install the RHA engine service. I am picking the port 25,000. That's the default port Arcserve picks for you. You can specify a different port. As long as that port is open between your console server and the servers you're going to back up from and back up to, then that's good enough. One thing I'm doing now for IIS is there is a prerequisite in making replication work between two IIS web servers, and that's installing the IIS compatibility role. So I'm basically in my master server right now. Master server is the production server, and I'm going to scroll down and check my box for the management compatibility. Hit the next button and bring this to a conclusion. Just so you guys can identify, where I'm working. I've got my console server colored black at the background. Got my master server, which is going to be my production main server, colored blue, and then I've got my replica server green. So I'm going to log in now to my replica server with my admin credentials and do the same setup. Just go to the roles and add the IIS compatibility role, and similarly just bring that to a conclusion so that we're prepared with our prerequisites, and then we're actually going to then go ahead and install the agents on both of those other servers. So basically we're going to enroll them into the software. So I'm going to run the Arcserve RHA software at this point. I'm going to pick scenario management, which is going to help me set up my scenarios, and scenarios are essentially rules that are going to be replication rules. And in this instance, I'm going to set up a IIS rule. So you'll see me select that. There's other types too. I'm going to check assured recovery. I'll explain to you why in a second. And I'm going to put the IP addresses of my two web servers, .32 being my master and .33 being my replica. Arcserve is going to do a really nice thing and actually confirm that the software is installed or not. It obviously detected as the engine service is not installed on my other system, so it cannot control it. Give it administrative credentials, and it's going to gain privilege to the systems and install the Arcserve engine service on it, so my console server can take control of the systems and replicate data between both of them. So we're going to let this be for a second. Once it's done, it's going to confirm. I'm going to just go ahead and proceed after this. And it shows me that on my primary server I do have a website running. It's under the web1 directory, and we're going to look at that now. I'm going to bring up a UI and bring up my .32 IP address / web1. I've got a very basic index.html file in there that gives you just a quick little web page, and I'm going to pull up now my replica server, which is going to be my DR server, and on that exact same web page it's not going to pull anything up. I'll also pull up the inetpub directory directly on my master server, my web server, that's my production server, and you'll notice that I've got the web1 directory placed inside of it with my index.html file. So I've got my website there, and if I pull up my .33 server, similarly, you're going to notice that I've got some basic stuff there for IIS, but my web1 directory is missing, and I've got no data there that I at least wanted replicated over. So now that we have somewhat of a baseline on what's set up and what's not, let's kind of bring this down and finish up our scenario setup. I'm gonna pick a few things here that I like that in our testing has proved very well for optimization and actually increasing the level of security. This is just telling you it's going to do IIS. It's going to copy the whole www root directory, which is fine. Replication, I'm going to leave that online. You can set it for schedule, so you can do this every hour if you like. I leave it online because this moves faster. And then we're going to set up the number of streams to 10. You can set that lower or higher. It only optimizes your bandwidth. Your IIS server doesn't see a difference. So expanding on all that, on the left side is the master, on the right is the replica. One thing I do is I do set up IIS 256 replication, which I just picked. And in the same UI you could have picked if you want any reports run and where do the alerts go. I'm going to leave that alone for now. And right before we run this scenario, I'm going to bring up the directories again, and we're going to notice live what happens when you start the replication. So let's go ahead and run the job. That's going to kick things off. Bring these down a little bit. And in a second, you'll notice the UI is pretty nice. Actually gives you some feedback into what is running. Actually, quickly you can see on the bottom that the directory was replicated over, and there's data on the other side, and the UI shows you that it's live running replication, and then there's some logs on the bottom that show you that the replication's done. Obviously there was almost nothing there, so it's pretty quick. This shows you what was moved over. Average rate of movement is about 1 gig a minute to 4 gigs a minute over the internet. Right now I almost had nothing there. It's just a very basic website, so it moved really fast. And now that the replica is moving over, we're going to look again really quickly at the websites. So in replication scenario, if you pull up the primary server, the website's running, IIS is running, and the website's mounted. But if you look at the replica server, the DR system, IIS is running, the data's there for the website, but the site is not running, so it's not there or running for the user to get into. So that avoids some confusion from the user's part because they're not able to go there and start transacting with it. So when I picked assured recovery earlier, this is where this comes in. This allows you to temporarily bring up IIS, that website on the other side on the replica, so you can test it. So I've done that now. That's going to give me a quick check mark, tell me that I'm ready. And if I hit go now, actually I can see my website where I could not see it earlier, and it's running for me to test. At this point I can go ahead and edit my files. If you were in full DR mode, you could have edited your files here. You can even edit SQL servers, permissioning, and multiple other things as far as code goes. And when you fail over to the primary site, your data actually fails over and the changes you made are failover. So I'm going to go ahead and stop that now. I'm going to fail back. And during the whole time, remember, this was just a pure test through assured recovery, so production was never impacted. So replication fail back is done. It's incredibly fast, takes seconds. And my website, if I look it up again on the replica server, it's just not going to come up. It's going to sit there and churn, where production was never ever impacted. So that's it. Using Arcserve RHA 16.5 software, it's a great way to set up replication between IIS, web servers, file servers, SQL servers, you name it. Hopefully this was educational, and thank you very much for watching.